The most powerful cities in history don't produce anything. They take. But why? Sea transport costs 40 times less than land transport. That gap creates a flow, and wherever flow concentrates, something builds to catch it. The city is a drain. Chapter 1. The sea does something to distance. Egypt fed Rome for centuries. The distance was 1,000 miles of water. The local Italian hinterland lacked the scale. Shipping from Africa was the only viable solution. Moving a ton of grain by wagon cost 40 times more than moving it by ship. Wagons are inefficient. Animals require fuel, roads fail, cart breaks down. Water transport is passive. Wind and current provide free energy. On a map, a mile is a mile. In logistics, land miles and sea miles are different units of cost. Sea transport scales indefinitely. Past a certain radius, the wagon becomes a waste of time. Water is cheap, land is expensive. A coastal city is the point where those two costs meet. The flow exists because of the physics. The drain exists because of geography. The city is just a human structure built around both. Chapter 2. The 4 nodes. Maps show a line. Reality shows a series of logistical problems. There are 4 types of nodes on the coastline. Node number 1. The mouth. When a river meets the sea, 2 supply chains meet. Everything produced inland, grain, timber, ore, arrives by river. Ships coming in from the sea bring refined goods. The man sitting on the mouth of the river doesn't have to produce a thing. He taxes everything. Docks get built, scales appear, judges settle the disputes. The man who owns the mouth charges for all of it. The mouth is the strongest node on your map. Its power is purely geographic. 2 flows meet at one point. There is no other way around. The mouth is a double drain. River flow meets sea flow. Node number 2. The strait. A strait is a gap between coastlines, a bottleneck. Ships pay to pass because there is no alternative. A fort appears, a toll follows, the ships have no choice. The Bosphorus, Hormuz, the English Channel, Malacca, Gibraltar, every major choke point in history runs on the same logic. The worst fear of a strait city is new routes. Even if they are harder, longer, and more expensive, they still avoid the toll. Once that calculation flips, the city hollows out. A strait is a drain the whole sea empties through. Control it and you tax everything. Node number 3. The anchorage. Most coastline is hostile. Cliffs, rocks, shallow water, exposed headlands. Ships die on bad coastline. But sometimes the coast is merciful. A bay. Deep water, shelter from the wind, beaches to repair hulls on. Ships stop at natural harbors. Someone charges for it. Ships pay gladly, the alternative is drowning. A warehouse appears, a tavern, a wall. He charges for the privilege of not dying. The anchorage lord's power depends entirely on ships choosing to stop. He gets replaced when a better bay is found. The anchorage is a natural drain. Geography forces ships to stop here. Node number 4. The extraction node. The mouth, the strait, and the anchorage are gatekeepers. They control flow. Geography forces the ships to stop. The extraction lord is a producer. The node provides bulk materials such as timber, salt, ore, protein. Ships come here for the product. The gatekeeper sets the price. The extraction lord loads the ships at whatever he's given. He has no other buyers. The only way an extraction lord wins is a monopoly. If he has the only source of the world's silver, he becomes the drain. Shout out to George, also known as the reclusive cartographer, for collaborating with me on this one. He provided the beautiful hand-drawn map I'm using throughout this video. I highly encourage you to check out his work on Patreon. Links are in the description. Chapter 3: A Knife's Edge. Coastal power looks simple from the outside, but it is a balancing act. Inland lords face one direction, usually. Coastal lords face two. Each direction has its own set of demands and threats. The sea brings wealth, but it also brings speed. A naval raid arrives without warning. By the time the sails are visible, the docks are already in range. The city must defend against threats that arrive, loot, and leave before a counterattack forms. The land brings food, but it also brings mass, the slow, heavy pressure of an army. A city with only seaward defenses can be starved out or burned from behind. Ignore one direction and you will be killed by it. A drain that can be seized from land or destroyed from sea is a liability. The defensive strategy exists for one reason: to keep the drain open. Defense here is a timing problem. The high ground provides visibility and defensibility. The Lord's seat goes here. Sitting far from the harbor is a problem. Gapping the distance with an army takes something they cannot afford: time. So the solution is one: connect the hill and the harbor. The timing problem disappears. The high ground and the deep water determine the defensive strategy. Chapter 4: Size Matters. 3 physical limits determine how big your city becomes. They stack, and the smallest one wins. The freshwater ceiling. You can haul calories across an ocean, but shipping water for a metropolis is impossible. The volume is too high, the weight is too great, and the delivery is too slow. A coastal city's size is capped by its local fresh water before anything else. A spring, a river, an aquifer, a system of cisterns. You can only drink what's nearby. Water is too heavy to move in bulk.
But Rome moved water aqueducts.
Yes, but you still import water within gravity distance. The first question is water. Where does it come from? No answer means the city doesn't exist at that size. The calorie ceiling. A city eats before it trades. The question is where the food comes from and what it costs to move it. A coastal city with rich farmland in its hinterland is a large city in the making. A city with no fertile hinterlands hits its ceiling fast. The only exit is the sea. The Parasite city. Most cities grow as large as their backyard allows. The Parasite city refuses the limit. It stops farming its own land and starts eating the world. Rome did not eat Italian bread. It ate Egyptian bread. The grain came from another continent entirely. Rome reached a scale the Italian countryside could never sustain. And this works. It works spectacularly until it doesn't. The Parasite city is the most powerful city on the coastline. It grew past its natural ceiling. The supply chains of distant lands became the ceiling instead. The Parasite city is the system taken to its logical extreme. The river multiplier. Geography builds conveyor belts for free. They're called rivers. One navigable river turns a valley into a single exit system. Everything the interior produces must pass through the city's docks to reach the world. One river makes a drain. It pulls the wealth of a valley and concentrates it in one place. A delta does this for a continent. When multiple rivers converge, the city sits at the terminal of a supply chain it didn't have to build. The drain gets wider. The wealth arrives from further away. This is how eternal cities are made. No river means no organic flow. The city stays small. A local market, nothing more. Or it becomes a parasite, redirecting someone else's drain towards itself. The worksheet is in the description. Use it. Share your results on Discord. Those hours shouldn't go down the drain. Links below. Chapter 5. The Workflow. Step 1. Mark the 4 nodes. Look for what the geography gives for free. Every place a river meets the sea is a mouth node. Every narrows where ships have no choice but to pass is a strait node. Every natural harbor where ships stop because the open water is worse is an anchorage node. Every coastline with a resource the world needs badly enough to sail for is an extraction node. Step 2. Water first. Fresh water comes before anything else. Springs, rivers, aquifers, rainfall that fills cisterns. The source exists or it doesn't. Where there is no fresh water, there is no city. A fort perhaps, a way station, but nothing bigger. Step 3. Size each node honestly. 3 questions that set the ceiling before the first wall of the city goes up. Where does the water come from? If the answer is unclear, the city is small. Where does the grain come from? Local farmland, or a river valley, or the sea? If the answer is the sea, the city is a parasite. How much river drainage feeds this point? No river means a town. One river means a city. A delta means something larger. The river system is the ceiling. Step 4. Write the job description. Every node gets 1 sentence. This city exists because ships needed a safe place to stop on a hostile coast. This city exists because 2 rivers meet the sea here and someone had to weigh the cargo. This city exists because the Strait charges every hull that passes between 2 seas. The sentence is the city. Everything else follows. Step 5. Draw the parasite routes. A large coastal city with no river and no local grain runs on imported calories. Those sea lanes are the arteries. Sever one and the population has a huge problem. So, where does the food come from? Which sea lanes carry it? And who controls those lanes? Those answers are the city's entire foreign policy. Every war it ever fought traces back to one of those routes. Every alliance as well. You started with a coastline and some cities drawn on it. Now you have a system. Fresh water that sets the ceiling, grain that determines the size, geometry that explains the defenses, and a specific physical problem that justifies every lord you placed. The sea does something to distance that no road ever could. Every city on your coastline is built on that fact. Do you want to find out how to place your inland cities? Check out my other videos on this topic. Have a good one.